Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We're going to be watching Soulkey. Probably, you might be able to call him #1 player in the world. Maybe that goes to Soma, maybe that goes to Flash, maybe that goes to Soulkey. But yeah, he's back. He's practicing a lot. Great to see. And he's going up against Free here, who's definitely very active right now. We've seen some Free games lately, and he's looking really strong. He's looking really good, and I'm always a fan of the way he plays PROTOSS for Zerg. I think it's really, really nice. We're on the map Knockout. So yeah, let's see how this goes. How is Free going to be able to hold up against the 4-time in a row ASL champion who took a little break but seems to be back in practicing? So yeah, I've definitely seen Soulkey super active again, and it makes sense as we lead up to ASL. He had kind of that disappointing run last season, so I think it would be ridiculous if he came back and won this season. Just absurd if he were able to do something like that. But the thing is, that's within him to be able to do it, right? Like, we've known Soulkey is a championship level player since like ASL season 2 or something. Like, we were talking about that for the longest time and how ZVZ was kind of holding him back a little bit. He was just, basically one of the strongest players forever. So anyways, excited to see this one. Looks like it will be a gateway opener with some pressure, and it looks on Soulkey's side like it's probably going to be a hatch first. Yeah, hatch first at that natural. So guys, while we wait for this game to really get going, if you like these videos, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. You'd be really shocked. It's about half of the people who watch are not, in fact, subscribed. And as of right now, we are super close to 70,000 subscribers on the channel, which is absolutely insane. I'm just so happy about it. I really do hope one day to be able to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. I think that would be like a really cool milestone. So yeah, please do subscribe if you have not as of yet. And of course, leave those comments. I try to respond when people are asking questions, and I read most of the comments. There are definitely days where I miss some, maybe I don't go to the bathroom at the right time or something. Because that's the best time to read YouTube comments, right? Is while you're on the toilet. So yeah. Anyways, let's take a look here. So Free is scouting him a little bit late with that probe, but that's okay. The pool is going to finish here shortly. He actually held the Zealot back. So did he not recognize the timing of this? I'm surprised that the Zealots haven't walked out. Right? Am I wrong about this? Like, normally, you will have already sent Zealots out. He's just pulling them at home. I find this interesting. Yeah, so, I mean, Soulkey definitely scouted what was happening. I'm thinking hard about like why you might just pool these instead of sending them across the map. And like some things are coming to my mind that could make some sense. I'm not a PROTOSS player and I'm not a Zerg player. So this is one of those things where it's like if this was a Terran player doing it, I could probably name off everything that it could possibly be. And I have a few ideas. So he's just sitting back. Now, the thing is, as metas evolve, here's my leading theory on why he's sat back here. As metas evolve, certain things that you've always utilized as pressure do almost nothing anymore. It's like very straightforward. And in fact, if you look at it, the first few Zealots that go out at this point generally kill less than 4 lings apiece. Right? Think about that. And this is something that happens over time. We're like, oh, this pressure that you used to do. Like, for instance, here's an example from the Terran point of view. Once upon a time, we would lay mines near goons and be like, all right, sometimes we get a goon here. At this point, you never get a goon with that, ever. To the point where every time I see a pro do that now, I think in my own head, he shouldn't have done that, and he knows he shouldn't have done that. Like, we used to get goons, and now you don't. Okay? So, like, the value of trying to lay mines near goons, you're just never going to get a good player that makes the mistake of losing a goon there. In the early game, I'm talking about, when you have your first 3-4 vultures, that type of thing. So, maybe he's looking at this and saying, well, the Zealots actually aren't going to gain anything, but he still has to make the Lings. Let's hold them back and wait for a stronger move-out timing where the critical mass of the Zealots count towards something, right? Where it's like, you know what's way harder than holding 1 or 2 Zealots at the beginning of the game? Holding 5 when normally it's 3. Does that make sense? That's my leading theory as to why he's actually just put on almost 0 actual move-out pressure this game. Seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. I don't want to talk myself into it, but like, yeah, that's my guess. Okay, we'll stop talking about that for a moment. Second photon cannon on the way. He is getting +1. He's being careful. He did lose the 1 Zealot going to the south. You know, the Corsair is coming out. Citadel is up, so I think he'll start legs pretty quickly here. Like, I can't imagine banking up these Zealots and not trying to get legs quickly. Like, if you rush to Psystorm off of this instead of legs, I would be a little bit surprised. Going after the most close by Overlord. Yeah, there's the Zealot legs upgrade before a Templar Archive, so that makes perfect sense to me. And he is going to be able to knock out this Overlord. You know, and obviously he's going to go across the map, try to get a bit more scouting than that. And Soulkey right now on 5 hatcheries. He has that Spire, and he does start the +1 flyer Carapace. Templar Archives gets started across the map as well. +1 and legs are not done, but he is starting to walk around a little bit with these Zealots. The Lings have speed, so like, I guess there's a world in which he can try to run in, but it doesn't seem like the greatest move right now. I think he has to utilize these to fight the Zealots. Nice surround there. Gets some damage onto one of those Zealots at least. All right, we have 4 Scourge. Oh, the Corsair's actually finding Overlord down here, but the Scourge have a decent shot at getting a kill here. We'll see how on top of it both of these players are, because there is some multitasking going on. Now, a couple Sunkens being made, 5 Mutas on the way, so Soulkey is definitely committing to Mutalisks a bit. His +1 is almost done, his legs are almost done, and here are those Scourge going for the kill, and they end up getting one of them. And that's Soulkey pretty dialed in, because if you just right-click on it and let them follow, generally Free would be able to get away. But if you're heavily microing them, because they deaccelerate, I actually am not sure, as they're about to hit. So it's actually, you have to like forcefully micro them onto the Corsairs because the speed is so similar. Okay, Muta's coming down, going after these Zealots, which do knock out the Sunken. And you know what? The Zealots are doing okay. They're getting a few drones. They're causing lost mining time. They got rid of that Sunken colony. They're buying time against these 5 Mutalisks as well. It's buying time for free. Oh, no. That was so good from Soulkey. He recognized that the rally was probably down here, and he just sat the Scourge in the path. And Free was busy, like, microing over here, I think. And his Corsair just flew into the Scourge. So he's actually lost 2 Corsairs now against a Soulkey that was planning on Mutalisks. So that's a little bit painful. That is definitely a little bit painful. But look at how Free is building up this position. This is a bit different from what we normally see. This is much quicker Dragoon range than normal. And he skipped the +1 flyer attack. I actually wasn't paying close attention. I think he wasn't getting it for a long time. But completely skipping it and saying, okay, we're not even going to do the whole Corsair thing is a strong choice. Now, is that a correct choice? Is that something that could theoretically be abused by Soulkey? I think in theory, yeah, it is possible. Now, hold on. He's actually diving in, and he's going to get 1 High Templar. That one you can't really click on. You can't really right-click on that with the Mutalisks because the way it's standing under that little spire part of the Nexus. So really well placed there from Free. I'm almost certain you can't click on it there. There are certain places you cannot click on things. There's all sorts of places you tell units to stand. Like there's a place over an extractor that lurkers can't be targeted, that type of thing. Right. So anyways, God, I just feel like I'm mind dumping a lot of stuff on you guys today. And of course, there's they aggro on the cannons before the High Templars. You know, those attack priority things really important. So anyways, it's kind of a crazy game. Now we're getting the lurker upgrade, a lot more mutas being made. I think you look at this, the theory behind all this looks better for Soulkey, in my opinion. The fact that the Corsairs, 2 of them were already reduced. I actually really like the choice of Free to just skip Corsair production and go really, really heavy Dragoon. I like strong decisions like that. Even if you can look at it and say, okay, theoretically, the Mutalisk-based player should have a slight advantage here. That's fine. Like, that's the thing about StarCraft. Like, you don't have to have the perfect theoretical strategy. It's more about execution. And I think just making a strong decision, like going directly into heavy Dragoon, I really, really like that from Free. Just cut your losses, be like, okay, well, the Corsair thing isn't going to work out as well as it should, so we may as well go for like a really strong mid-game. I love it. I love it. Now, the Muta's just kind of flying through. As he's picked off some High Templars, it's really hard for the Dragoons to actually kill the Mutalisks. So, yeah, the Mutas are kind of having a field day right now. This is why you really do want to have those Corsairs. Decent storm. He nicks the edge of the Mutas there, so it definitely deals a fair amount of damage. He has his Robo out. I want to take a look at what Soulkey's doing. Okay, so he is going into Lurkers. And notice he's getting melee attack upgrades. Really love to see it. We've talked about this so many times about Zerg versus Protoss. What you actually want is Ling Lurker. Like, that's the real comp. It's actually not Hydras. That's kind of... The Hydras are what you have to do because +1 Zealots would be too strong against a Zergling-based defense, right? And obviously Hydra busts are good and all that, but really at the end of the day, Ling Lurker is insanity for ZVP. And that's something that Soulkey is super, super aware of. Like, we've seen him in the past have some really wild strategies based around getting quicker Ling and Lurker than most players. And I find it really fascinating that he's doing that rather quickly here. And, you know, something that I've noticed a lot, and we've actually casted several games on the channel, is a lot of Zergs have been going like Muta and Lurker at the same time. I don't see that here. This is what I was actually initially going back to look for. He has the Mutas, but I don't think he's going to make any more. I think he'll utilize these, and there's a possibility later on that he makes a few more, but like, this is not the same thing that we saw in those other games, right? Like, he's going heavy Lurker, lots and lots of Lurkers, lots of Lings, and he has this one group of Mutas as well. Okay, Zealot's trying to run up here, but with 3 Lurkers plus the Mutas plus the Lings, he's got to turn around. That is super wasteful, so yeah, he will do that. Free looking like he wants to try to bust the front. I mean, he has a lot of Dragoons here. Maybe this is a possibility. All right, throws down a Storm there. Doesn't do that well, honestly. The Lurkers are not super clumped. Could utilize some Psy Storms on them. Tanking mostly with a couple Zealots here. Even just getting a hatchery is very, very strong. By the way, Free setting up a 4th base during all this. I really like what we're seeing here from Free. It's not perfect, but I really like a lot of the broad strokes he's doing. The timings of these bases, the really heavy mid-game push. Really nice to see. Great Psy Storm here hitting 3 Lurkers. That's insane. Now, the Ling Muta coming up does clear out the reinforcements that were coming up for Free. He, by the way, is on 1-1. Soulkey here already on Hive, getting into those Adrenal upgrades, as well as 2-2 upgrades for his Zerglings. Love to see that. Really Zergling-centric at the moment. This actually reminds me of a way that I saw Soulkey playing several years ago against Protoss. He had some really interesting games where he was basically Hive rushing on like 3 bases up to Adrenal upgrades for those Zerglings. Like, Adrenal is insane, especially when you're playing against these types of Dragoon-heavy compositions. Dragoons just don't do well against Zerglings. And in fact, 3-3 Cracklings are... They might be the best unit in the game. Like, for cost, they're just absolutely bonkers. They actually, like, counter Zealots. I'm not even joking. 3-3 Cracklings beat 3-3-3 Speed Zealots. Like, it's wild. They beat everything. It's everything except maybe, like, mass fire bats? I don't know. Like, they're crazy. So, Defiler Mound on the way here for Soulkey. He's got 4 bases up, but Free has 4 bases up, not mining from this one yet. Sending his probes down right now. He has a decent army in the center. I think he does need to add a few Archons in. The Dragoons are not going to be all that useful. And realistically, if he's going to win this game, does he need to go Reavers? This is such an interesting point, and I've talked about it so much with Tasteless over the years when we're talking, you know, just between us about the matchup or like during ASL casts. Like, some players like Reavers, some players don't in this matchup, right? Like, in this type of situation where we're clearly on Hive Tech, there's lots of Zerglings, do you need to go Reaver here? Or can you utilize the combination of Zealot, Archon, Psystorm and be okay? Because the Reavers definitely slow the game down a little bit, right? Like, we see a lot of games where PROTOSS goes Reavers where they end up losing. Sometimes, but the thing is that because it slows the game too much for PROTOSS? Is that because they go Reavers when they're already behind? Right? It's actually hard to parse this correctly because we don't get to these later game positions nearly as much as all the mid-game stuff. So some of the late game stuff, it takes a long time. It takes many, many years to really flesh out what the best moves are. Because the later you get into the game, the rarer the position it is, the less practice you have in it. Yeah, it's just really late game Brood War is very oftentimes super complicated and just not reproducible. Whereas all the mid game stuff, it's definitely more so. Okay, so 5th base being taken by Soulkey, but Rain free. I was actually about to call him Rain. That's funny because he's playing actually pretty similarly to Rain if you look at it. Like how quickly he got the heavy Dragoon out and everything. All right, 2/2 Cracklings coming up and going for a counterattack. He does have some Zealots up here. The cannon's not going to fare well, of course. Ooh, Shuttle gets picked off. I can't believe he's still got 11 mutas, rather. Oh, the most insane Psystorm. The craziest Psystorm. All right, throws some storms down here to kill off some of the Lings as well. Starting to make an Archon, which I think is very important. He might end up losing this Nexus just because Cracklings are the natural predator of Nexuses. Dude, look how quickly they kill it. Look at that. You should be able to lift the Nexus off. Wild. That, like, when I see Cracklings against PROTOSS buildings, it's like, come on. Okay, a Dark Archon being made. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, the Dark Archon. One of the only units in the game that's actually good against the Defiler. So that's going to be useful. Maelstrom could be very useful as well. Maelstrom is always a great spell. Wow, picks off the Defiler. Soulkey just kind of losing track of it there for a moment as he did with the mutas. But the game is getting into this really big position. This is a really fun game so far. So interesting on both sides. All right, getting very good storms down. Those were perfectly spread. Some Cracklings coming down with that Dark Swarm to push back these Dragoons. The Dragoons, of course, they still have some usage, right? They're still good against Lurkers that aren't under Dark Swarm. They can pick off buildings super fast. You know, they fight from range, which is something you do need some of anyways. And here's the thing, though. Like, the Dark Swarm really ruins Dragoons. But if you try to knock out Dragoons and they just start throwing Dark Storm down with Lurkers underneath it, the Zealots have no chance. So it's a very tricky, like, complicated dance from PROTOSS at this point. Soulkey retaking his 5th base. Looking over at Free's side, it doesn't seem like he's remaking this, which is really important because he's only actually mining from one base at the moment. But it doesn't seem like he's really ready to try to take another base. It seems like he needs to make his units that he has right now work for him. And I think he needs to get down here and cancel this out again. Or I guess at this point, kill it off. Ah, the 2 Dark Storms thrown down so quickly, he had no energy left. That was super, super fast. Good attempt on the feedback. Feedback is super fast casting, really good range. Of course, it removes all the mana from something and deals damage equal to that mana to that unit. So it's like, and it's only costs 50 mana for the Dark Archon as well. So like I said, it's one of the only units that's actually good against Defiler. So I love that he tried that, but the fact that Soulkey so quickly threw down double Dark Storm, really, really strong. Okay, so 175 for Soulkey, 164. So they have like the same army supply when you account for worker counts. It's Like, I think Soulkey is just, like, really ahead, but he is a little bit weak right here, I guess. What's he... Oh, he's killing a Sunken. Looks like that might have been trapping some things. No Psystorm here, unfortunately. Yeah, with the Lurkers, it's a little bit tough. He brings up some more Lurkers here as well as a little bit of a flank. His very Zealot-heavy army having a hard time. Like, all you need to do is have a few Lurkers in there and just stall it all out with Zerglings. And then all the Zealots are just taking all that splash damage from Lurkers nonstop. It's really, really tricky to play against. I do think that there are things that Free could be doing here. The thing is, it's been such an action-packed, crazy game that we can't say too much, because it's like, okay, he's doing his best. Not as an insult either, but yeah, I was going to mention some speed shuttle drops. Like, you see, there's huge undefended areas where he could pull a lot of attention of Soulkey around. Yeah, that type of move. And of course, as I mentioned before, the Reavers could potentially be something that's powerful in these positions, but it's like, it does slow down the pushes. Plague is a natural enemy, that type of thing. So he had that 3 DT. Where'd the 3 DT go? Oh, there it is. Almost didn't see that. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the DT's definitely doing well. They're clearing a lot of drones in that bottom left. Killed about 10 drones, I want to say. Going after the hatch. Almost called it hive. But it does end up getting cleaned up, unfortunately. So was that actually worth it at the end of the day? Plagues starting to fly. The Plague Grind, just so powerful. No matter what you're playing against, Plague Grind is insane. Whether it be against Terran, PROTOSS, or even Zerg. Plague is just wild. Redroning up right now for Soulkey, and he's taking another base, this mineral base up there. His defensive line of Lurkers is so deep. I don't see a way for Free to win this anymore. Nice little feedback there, almost kills the Defiler. Yeah, like he's looking for a way to break in. It's just like you're just stalling him just enough that he can't quite break through because of the amount of splash damage the Lurkers are doing to Zealots. That's really the crux of this defense. Like, watch this. He's going to attack in here. I think this will probably be the last attack in the game. Okay, he does feed back one of them, which is nice. But you can see the amount of spines coming out. It's like every time these are shooting... Look at that. It's 26 damage from each of them. So what is that? It's like 78 damage. 159 damage. But yeah, it's dealing so much damage to those Zealots, and some of them are already plagued, so it's like they just get cleared so fast. It's like, what are you going to do? Have heavier Dragoons? That's not going to work. You need to have your Psystorm in there. You need to kind of have the tempo to not allow all these positions to be so well turtled up. And he just does not have that. Another Plague goes down. Dark Swarm is up there as well. Of course, Dark Swarm makes Archons miss too. Don't forget they deal splash damage, but they are ranged attacks. So they're not that good under Dark Swarm. Okay, and GG is called. Guys, I think that was a great game. I think Free played very well. Soulkey obviously is stronger and outplayed him. But I think we saw really quality play from Free. I think he beats a lot of Zergs this game. Not Soulkey, though. Overall, seeing Soulkey utilize the quicker melee upgrades, kind of forego the Hydralisk portion, if you think about that. Okay? Like, he had the heavy mutas. He picked off some Corsairs. He recognized that it was more Dragoon heavy, which is kind of a style that Rain introduced. This really Dragoon heavy mid game, and we saw it from Free, and it looked really good. But Soulkey got into those heavy Lings and Lurkers, and he was able to kind of stall everything out while he got his economy going. And yeah, that was a fascinating game. I really enjoyed that one. Guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.